Good evening and welcome back to the Talking Philly Sports with Matty B program here on the Edge of Philly Sports with your boy Matty B on his new regularly scheduled time on Thursday evenings. I am on Thursdays for the month of July to help accommodate another show here on the network. So it's nice to be here on Thursdays. I've owned Tuesday nights for almost 2 years, and getting a little switcheroo on the other side of the week has been very interesting. It's 9 o'clock. I'm not going to necessarily be coming at you at 9 on Thursdays. It's more going to be at 8. But boy, oh boy, have I been busy. Life is coming at me at about 150 miles per hour, and I'm trying to get everybody taken care of, and it is definitely tough here at my house and in other places where I'm trying to balance personal life and business all at the same time. My daughters are now in town visiting me from Ohio, so they're going to be here and they're running around here crazy, and I'm trying to do this and work and all the other things. But I'm glad to be back because this is truly one of those cathartic moments of my week when I get an opportunity to spew my venom, and the only way that I know how to do it. And it's great to be back here with you now on Thursday nights. And this is, I think I was with you last Thursday when Bill Matz joined me. Here I am again on this Thursday. But before we get kind of rocking into or rolling here on the program, take a look at the schedule this week here on EOP. Again, coming at you on Thursday nights, me talking Philly sports with Matty B. There's some Sixers and Hawks post game going down here in a little bit as well. Tomorrow, we got a heck of a day for you scheduled. 12 p.m., the Fightins Final All-Star Break show. The Fightins Final crew, which I am a proud member of. We're going to sit down here and we're going to break down the Phillies first half, the ups and downs, the winners, the losers, expectations met, expectations failed. What is the future and all that in between stuff for you as we get ready to get the second half of this baseball season unofficially started here on tomorrow night when the Phillies will host the San Diego Padres for a 4-game set over 3 days. They have a programmed doubleheader on the 15th. And so the Phillies are going to get their second half of the season rocking and rolling. It's been really weird not having baseball all week long. The All-Star break was a little bit of a Jones fix, but not really. But Phillies will get back in action tomorrow. And we got you covered. Not only do we got you covered on the first half breakdown, we're going to have you covered on the Fightins Final tomorrow night as well. Phillies Padres. So a lot of stuff's going down here on the edge of Philly as usual, even though we are in those dog days of summer when it comes to Philly sports. Nothing really much to talk about except for the same old tired stuff. James Harden and the Sixers, the Phillies and their woes, and the Flyers with some highly, I guess, new expectations about the post draft review and the post free agency review. As well as we are about 2 weeks away from Eagles training camp. That's right, folks. I can dust off the old Howie Roseman, fan club button and jump right back into the 2023 Philadelphia Eagles season. And I got some special news coming up for you about that season here on this show, but I'm not going to reveal it quite yet because I'm still trying to close some deals. But let's get started here tonight because I'm not gonna be with you long tonight because I got some other things I gotta do. I mentioned that Phillies post game thing or that Phillies first half thing. Well, we're doing that tonight, so I got to get ready over there to do that. So I'm gonna come at you fast and or furious here on this show, and we're gonna get it started as we get it started every weekend on the show, and that is with your day in Philadelphia sports history. Back on July 13th in 1896, 1896, man. And yes, no, I was not. This is not firsthand account information. I didn't write this down as it was happening. I wasn't in attendance for this moment in Philly sports, but I found it very, very interesting. So when you think of the 19th century of MLB baseball, you don't necessarily think of it as a power hitting era, right? But the Phillies did something really cool on this day in 1896, and it was the Phillies outfielder by the name of Ed Delante. He hit 4 home runs on this date in 1896. Yeah, and back in 1896, I think he was the only person, or he was the only other person. There was only 2 of them that had done that thus far in Major League Baseball. Now, of course, since then, over the 100+ years that have elapsed since then, 15 more people have done it. So there's 17 people that total have hit 4 home runs in this single game. But Ed Delante stands alone because he is the only player in the history of Major League Baseball to hit 4 inside the park home runs in a single game, and he accomplished that feat on this date. It was against the Chicago Colts, and the 9-8 Phillies lost. So not only did he hit 4 inside the park home runs in a single game, the Phillies lost. So Philadelphia, right? So Ed Delante, here, Ed, was it Delhanty? Ed Delhanty. Here is to you, my friend, on your accomplishment of hitting 4 inside the park home runs in a single game on this date in 1896. And that is your day in Philadelphia sports history. Brought to you by the good people here at Talking Philly Sports with Matty B. And yeah, that's an interesting nugget. Again, he's the only one who's ever done that. Dave Yarnall checking in. Hey, Matty B. Dave, what's going down? Hope your summer is good. Hope your summer is not as busy as mine is, man. Whew. Been busy. So let's get things going right now. I'm going to go 4 for 4. Actually, I'm going to go 3 for 4 rapid fire. I'm bringing back the Eagles. Yeah, I haven't talked about the Eagles in a few weeks because of rightfully so. It's not football season, but yeah, you can smell it, man. It's coming around the corner. Spring training. Yeah, training camp is about 14 days away, and we will start hearing the expectations and the hype and the overblown record predictions here very shortly. Again, I will reveal all that stuff to you in late August. I don't jump into the pool until then because there's a lot of things that have yet to kind of like filter out yet, and that of course is spring training or training camp and preseason and injuries and whatnot. So I'm not going to go ahead and give you my official Eagle 2023 predictions until then, but there is some Eagles news to be talking about. We're still talking about the Super Bowl, folks, in a very negative way. Now they're blaming the sod people, the field guys. We're back to this, right? We're back to this nonsense of blaming the people that were upkeeping the turf of Super Bowl 57 for the fact that the Eagles lost. Man, you guys are really sinking to new lows, man. The Eagles lost the game. They lost it fair and square. Both teams played on the same surface as each other did, and the Eagles lost. It is what life is. You got to get over it, and you got to move on. The Eagles weren't that good anyway last year, so I don't understand. We're going to sit here and blame the field. First, it's the refs. Now it's the field, and we're still on about it 6-7 months, 6-7 months later, which to me is absolutely 100% amazing. You know, I understand people's frustrations and pain and sorrow. I didn't have it. I told you that last season. I was never a believer in this football team. I'm still not. I love them, but I'm not a believer in them. I'm not a believer in Nick Sirianni. I despise Howie Roseman, and I'm not a believer in the way this team is being built. And they lost to a superior opponent, and that everyone wants to kind of gloss over that. We want to go right to the refs and right to the turf. We're not going to talk too much about the Kansas City Chiefs, but we're still talking about that, and it's pitiful. It's absolutely sad. And a matter of fact, a Philadelphia sports talk radio station here in town has devoted an entire day of talking about it, which again is sad and depressing, and it's just sad. I really can't I can't put it in a different or any other way or context other than it's sad that we cannot get over the fact that we lost to a superior opponent fair and friggin' square. It wasn't like we were playing on a turf and then they rolled out a whole other one when Kansas City went on offense. No, we played on the same grass. Was it not right? Whatever. It is what it is. You had the opportunity to switch cleats around. You guys remember growing up back in the day? When I was growing up in Philadelphia, I played on the street, on the concrete and the asphalt. And if we did have an opportunity to play on a field, it wasn't manicured. It had divots in it. It had holes in it. It had all kinds of other stuff, barbed wire hidden in it. Well, I mean, what are we doing here, man? I don't get it. I don't get why we're hanging on to this. Is it the generation? Is it the soft ass millennial generation that won't let it go, i.e. Kyle Quinn? Is it that reason? But I've let it go. I let it go that night. Again, I wasn't a believer in the team last year. I'm still not a believer heading into this season. I think they have a lot of a lot of questions heading into the season. And I don't like the people running the team. I don't like the head coach, and I sure as heck fire do not like the GM. So here is my plea to you, the city of Philadelphia and all the suburbs, to include Delco. Let it go. Get off of it. Let it die. Along with this 49ers nonsense. We're talking about the San Francisco 49ers. Who gives a rat's what they think about the Eagles or the city of Philadelphia? We're talking about the San Francisco 49ers, man. I don't get it. Let's get that venom to where it needs to go, to the Dallas Cowboys. Let's get that rivalry stoked back up. Who gives an ass crack about the 49ers, man? Golly, grow up, Philadelphia. Grow a pair, Philadelphia. Mm-mm-mm. So that's my Eagles 2 cents. That's right. I guess I'm wetting my feet. I'm not jumping directly into the pool. I kind of wet my feet by the edge as training camp will start in 2 weeks. And we'll get more into the Eagles, obviously, as we um, roll through this summer and get into training camp. But the talk around town this week is turf and Debo Samuel and the San Francisco 49ers. Let it go. Let it go. What's the song? How's it going, that song? Let it go, let it go, man. Because it's just embarrassing that we're not. We're not letting it go, and it's embarrassing. So grow a pair, city of Philadelphia. Let it go. Let's move on to unsettled business and concentrate on trying to win a Super Bowl. Let's not concentrate on reliving why we didn't win a Super Bowl. Let's concentrate on trying to win one, huh? By starting with firing your GM and head coach. All right. So anyway, that's all my Eagle stuff. I'm gonna leave the Eagle stuff there until a few more weeks. Dave chimes in with, am I still umping? Dave, I am umping my ass off, man. I'm umping like 11 games a week. Pure concentrated baseball from 9 a.m. to about 7, 8 o'clock at night. I went in today at 9. I did 2 games at 9 and 2, and then I worked the third game at 6 o'clock tonight. So yeah, I am umping my face off, man. But I'm making good money, and I'm getting a lot of great reps. It's fun. Perfect way to enjoy summer. So yes, to answer your question, I am umping. Pat says, "What's up, Big Dub?" I'll see you, Pat, in about an hour or so, I guess, when we do the wrap, the first half wrap show. So looking forward to that. All right, let's transition to those said Philadelphia Phillies, fresh off of a series of uninspiring baseball against the Miami Marlins. I was on the final at the end of last week talking with Al. We did actually back-to-back shows. One night I hosted, or he hosted one night, and then I guest started. He hosted, or I hosted. He guest started the next night. And one of my popular questions to him was, how should the Phillies attack that series against Miami? Should they go after it like a playoff type series? Should they try to, send a message to Major League Baseball and the National League and National League East, the Miami Marlins? Should they try to do that? Should they treat it like a playoff series? And me and Al both agreed that they should. And then what the Phillies ended up doing was treating it like it was a spring training series. Very uninspired offensive baseball. Pitching was sus. They really didn't run up against a superior Miami Marlin opponent. They just shot themselves in the foot like they've done pretty much, most of the season. And, the same things, not being able to get runners in scoring position. Starting pitching that hit that wall in the fourth or fifth inning. The bullpen came up a little short. The Phillies really just didn't treat that series the way I thought it needed to be treated. And there was so much kind of on the line, in my opinion, in that series. There was an opportunity to get 50 wins before the All-Star break. There was an opportunity to go up 2.5 games on the Marlins in the wild card, to have the wild card in the National League. Instead, they find themselves a half a game out of the wild card. They got 48 wins, but there was a lot of things, in my opinion, that were at stake in that series, and the Phillies just didn't seem to approach it that way. And I guess maybe I don't know, are they putting all their eggs in the end of season basket, or are they putting all their eggs in the second half of the season basket as they try to make a run to get back to the playoffs this season? But same old situations, same old story, same old letdowns what have you, and it was just very uninspiring. So they went into the All-Star break. Rob Thompson, Nick Castellanos, and Craig Kimbrell representing the Phillies in the All-Star game, as Kimbrel was named a last-minute reserve player, and they did something great. We got a National League win, man, 3-2 over the American League, and that's awesome. Whenever the National League can hand it to the American League, it's a great thing. And Rob Thompson's getting a lot of credit for pushing some of the right buttons, and of course, Nick Castellanos figured in getting on base for the game-winning home run for the National League, or at the time, the game leading home run. And then, of course, Craig Kimbrel came in and hammered down the save for the National League as they won 3-2. And outstanding work. I don't know if that's something you put on a resume, or if that really, I mean, does it work out the way it needs to work out? Obviously, the World Series implications and whatnot, but that was good to see. And it was it was proud to see that the Phillies were represented the way they were. Maybe there was one or two players that were left off the team that potentially should have made it, but it was great. It's glad to see them kind of go out there and do what they had to do and represent the city and represent the team, and be instrumental in winning the game. So hats off to Rob Thompson, hats off to Nick Castellanos, Craig Kimbrel, and the entire Philly coaching staff that was out there in Seattle this week as they rep the Phillies. And could somebody help me out with this too? Can we get rid of these National League, American League uniforms and go back to our actual team uniforms? Is money has money taken the world over this much, where Nike is literally buying their way into this? Get rid of it, man. I mean, Nike sponsors the other uniforms too. Why can't we just go back to wearing our? That's what the All-Star game is supposed to be. Since the dawn of time, since the start of the All-Star game, it was always wearing our own. You rep your own team's jerseys. You rep the home version or you rep the away version, whatever park you're playing in. If it's an American League park, you rep your way. If you're home in a National League park, you rep your home. Can we get back to that, please? It is god awful, god awful, the way they're doing it. So it was it was fun. But now we get to turn the clock or turn the page, and we got the Padres coming in this weekend, as I mentioned at the top of the show. It's a programmed 4-game series it's a 4-game series in 3 days with a programmed doubleheader that was put in there at the beginning of the season. This is not a makeup game of anything. This was pre-scheduled at the beginning of the season. So the Phillies will return to the Citizen Bank Park and try to get this thing rolling again. And how will this break, affect the team? Will we come out rusty? Will we come out like we did last year? Remember we got swept by the Cubs going into the second half. I mean, how do the Phillies respond heading into the second half of the season against the Padres? We really don't have much wiggle room here. Not much at all. They got to come out, and they got to come out pretty hot, and they got to come out pretty heavy. So hopefully, starting tomorrow night, the Phillies can get it going the right way. You know who else, though, who doesn't have a problem getting it going the right way? It's Sherry's Ticket Town. Great prices, no hidden fees on sports, concerts, and theater tickets. www.sherrystickets.com. Family owned and operated since 1946. Save an additional 10% when you enter the promo code EOP10. And then after you do that, head over to my man, Dave Cherry, at 610-565-0300 for workman's compensation, motor vehicle accidents, criminal law, personal injury, and criminal law questions. He'll be there to give you his very best. And then once you're done with Dave and Sherry, then you need to go over to the PJ of Dolan's and kind of sit back and just marvel and revel in what you've done with your day. Don't forget 24 East Sellers Ave in Ridley Park in the heart of Delco for Quizzo, music, great times, memorabilia. You never know who's going to come walking through that front door. Head on over to Dolan's today and tell them Matty B sent you. I don't know if that's actually going to work. But yeah, head over to Dolan's and yeah. All right, let's kind of turn the page now. Let's hit on the ice. Last week I had a great opportunity and I spoke in length with Bill Matz. We went over some of the Flyers draft picks. We went over some of the free agent signings and some of the expectations heading into the season. Now we're a week later, and now you're hearing some of the stuff coming out about Matt V. Michkinoff and his character issues, and the fact that the Flyers were the only team that Matt V. came to North America to tour. They were the only team that asked him to visit. So I'm not necessarily saying that we got it wrong and everybody else got it right. I mean, obviously time will tell, but it is a little concerning. Just like the the Jalen Carter news this week, but it's concerning to me that we're interviewing a guy that allegedly has character issues, doesn't want to do what he's told to do, thinks he's above the team, likes to talk out of turn or whatever, out of school. It's concerning, yes. But I guess if there was a head coach out there, and maybe I don't even know John Tortorella would be the head coach then, but it's an interesting, it's interesting. It is. Did Danny Barrier go out on a limb and pick the most talented player in the draft other than Connor Bednard, knowing that there were these alleged character issues? Is this something that we're willing to kind of, mortgage the future of this franchise that's kind of dangling in the abyss as it is? Are we really, willing to mortgage the future of the franchise on a guy that might have character issues? I don't know. Time will tell. We're obviously not going to get an opportunity to deal with him for the next 3 years or maybe 2 years or whatever. But it is concerning to me. Do I believe it? Do I give it its due? Yes and no. Proof is in the pudding. But we don't have time right now in this town, especially with the hockey team, with somebody that thinks he's above the team. Absolutely not. And if it's true, and if Matt V. Mitchoff has issues of character where he cannot see the team's issues or the team's goals ahead of his own, then we need to make sure we get rid of him now before we invest too much more time in this. But the draft is that it's a crapshoot. It's a gamble. You look at pure talent, and then you say, okay, this guy's got it. Now it's time for us to sit him down and mold him in the way we want him to be. So, is there something to that as well? Yeah, of course. Are the Flyers up to that task? I don't know. That's a great question, and that's going to be answered over the next couple seasons. But it is concerning to hear that news out of Russia that he has some issues with character and some issues with teammates and issues with putting the team above himself. It's very concerning to me. So time will tell on that. Little alarming. Does it take some of the shine off the pick? A little bit for me, but we got to give it its due. So, but other than that, there's been some minor moves by the Flyers in reference to signing some of their RFAs. Noah Cates, Morgan Frost, I think Noah and I believe Cam York have been re-signed. Nothing really earth-shattering there. Guys, do you know what? In hockey, it's pretty funny. Everybody kind of clamors when you hear free agency in hockey. Free agency in hockey is such a multi-leveled, layered beast. So I'm just going to kind of give you an example of how this rolls. So you're drafted, right? You're drafted, 18 years old and you're drafted. Well, you have 3 years from that time to sign your ELC, your entry level contract, right? And then once you sign that contract, it's a 3-year deal, standard, pretty much standard. And through that 3 years, obviously so for example, say you didn't sign that contract till like year 3 of your eligibility with the team. And now, okay, you've already been the property of the team for 3 years. Now you sign a 3-year contract. So you're now 3 more years along. So that's 6 years you're with the team. When you get to the end of that 3-year deal or the end of your ELC, you become an RFA, a restricted free agent. And it's a lot different. Everyone hears free agent, they go, oh no. Listen, it's a lot different. So you are basically under team control, for the first 7, 8 years, 9, 10 years of your time with the team. And the RFA situation works like this. Say I'm an RFA and the Flyers give me an offer, right? I have 2 choices at this point. I can accept the offer or I can sit back and wait for any other team to match the offer. Now, if a team does that, then the ball goes back into the Flyers court, and the Flyers have an opportunity to match that offer or step out. But that's it. If the Flyers match it, it's a done deal. I got to sign. I got to sign the contract. That's what an RFA means. If the Flyers step out and say, you know what, we're not going to go ahead and do that, then the other team owes the Flyers compensation for that. And that compensation is all depending upon where you were drafted in the draft. If you're a first round draft pick and you get plucked, then that team owes you like their next 5 years worth of first round draft picks. It's something gaudy like that. If you're a second round pick, they owe you the next 3 years of their second round draft picks. I mean, it is so like skewed that the it's damn near impossible for an RFA not to be re-signed by their team, because unless you're a Connor McDavid and you somehow make it to that point, No one's going to match an offer for a fourth round draft pick. And when it says when you could lose three fourth round picks in the process. So not really earth shattering that the Flyers were able to sign some of their RFAs or key RFAs that they feel that are the future of the franchise. But yeah, so Noah Cates and Cam York both signed their second, I guess their second uh, contracts with the Flyers. They will now be uh, UFAs at the end of the 3 years, where they can go and sign with whomever they want. But yeah, that's kind of how free agency in a nutshell works in the NHL. So, and not too earth shattering when you become an RFA. The odds of you being retained by that team are pretty much completely on that team. If the Flyers want you, you're going to be retained. If they don't want you, then you were going to go somewhere else. But then there's a lot of compensation coming back to the Flyers, and sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way. So the Flyers continue to kind of dress up their product for 2023 and 24 as they get closer and closer to the start of the season. Or, yeah, they've wrapped up developmental camp, which I believe Team Lindros won the end of camp scrimmage game. They're packing him in at Voorhees down there at the skate zone, which is a great thing to see, especially in early July, and especially with the state of the franchise as it is. But all signs are pointing upwards as hopefully the Flyers are trending that way. The Matt V. Mitchkov news coming out of Russia or coming out of the NHL this week was a little concerning, but you got to give the Flyers the benefit of the doubt here. You got to give Daniel Breer, you got to believe that he did his homework. You got to believe that he figures something out, or that he had some conversations with somebody before making this guy the seventh round or the seventh overall pick. You gotta hopefully think he did that, and only time will tell. So that's going to do it for me. I'm not going to go Sixers. And my 3 for 4 were the Eagles, the Flyers, and the Phillies in a very condensed way. As I said, I got a lot going on, and I got to get ready for another show. So I'm going to kind of sign off. I'm going to end it there tonight. And again, I want to thank everybody for being patient with me and being patient with what's going on right now with me. And then hopefully everybody out there is having a great summer. I've been having an awesome summer, very busy summer. Got a little tan going on, man. I spent a lot of time outdoors, so it's been fun when it's not friggin' raining. And also spending my summers up in Cooperstown, New York, where I'm umping. It's the birthplace. I mean, it's the Hall of Fame, and I've met some great people through the umping this year. Sheldon Brown, former Eagle great, who delivered the greatest hit ever in the history of the NFL on Reggie Bush, was one of my coaches that his team's. I sponsored his team, so I met him. I had an opportunity to meet him. He's a good dude. I've also met a few former MLB players. I'm not going to say their names on the air because they asked me not to. But it's been fun, and we got induction week coming up here at the end of the month. So there'll be some players kind of obviously all over the place at the end of July. Fred McGriff, Scott Rowland, those types of players. Scott Rowland, how did he make the damn Hall of Fame? But it's been fun. But as I said, I'm going to be on Thursdays for the rest of the month of July, and then from there we will see. We will see if I'm going back to Tuesdays or if I want to stay on Thursdays. There's some things we're working out right now. But till we talk again, folks, what do they say? That's right. They say that is the news, and I'm out of here.